What's going on, guys? It's GBP baby. Welcome back to another video. I hope everybody's doing well, and hopefully you've watched yesterday's video. If not, definitely go check that out. And yeah, let's get straight into things. So yesterday, as you know, I was expecting dollar to be able to push on higher into this buy side liquidity target and start to run into this massive weekly fair value gap that we have residing up here. However, we got quite a strong rejection. Now, one of the main reasons I wanted to see price continue higher was because we shouldn't change our biases unless proven otherwise. So in this sense, we were bullish until proven otherwise, which is what we saw today when we saw some really nice displacement to the downside. And you can see that we completely disregarded this bullish order block. So seeing that is telling us and hinting us and showing us that price is clearly changed into a sell program and is likely going to start looking for more sell side imbalances and PDRAs in general. So moving forward, I am going to clear my charts just so that we can get on the right side of the market and start paying attention to the PDRAs, which I want to draw our attention to. So first of all, I'm going to bring our attention to this last down close candle before the up move, because if price is to continue lower, then this will make a breaker, high, low, higher high, and then price is broken lower. And I will just mark out the sell side liquidity which has been grabbed in order to make this move. So we have these highs right here, which got traded through. And then we also have these highs over here as well, which just got tapped into. So you can see our price traded away from it. Slight rejection block level here. And like I said, I did want to see price trade into it, but it never gave us that, and that's completely fine. And yeah, it'll be interesting to see if we can continue to push on lower. Now, non-farm payroll is next week as we start the horrible month of December. So that is something to take into account, meaning that we're likely going to find a lot of consolidation. And it is typical, especially when we've had weeks of just upwards movement, which is what we've seen. It's typical that we'll enter a consolidation for them to for price to reprice, so to speak. So with that in mind, what I have my attention set on now is this fair value gap, which is also lined up with this bullish order block. So I will draw that out as a sell side target. And then, like I said, this last down close candle, and that's because this should be a breaker, meaning that if price trades back into it, moving into Thursday, maybe to create the high of the day on dollar, price should be able to reject away from it. Now, I'm not going to use the whole range. Mainly, I'm only using below 50%. So let's get that delineated. So I'd like price to open, tap into it at the most. To be honest, not even 50%, it'll be 25%, which will be ideal. Any higher than that, I will be a little bit suspicious, and it wouldn't be ideal. But generally speaking, I am expecting a down close candle. Another thing to take note of is the fact that we haven't actually traded much above the Sunday opening. So the fact that we've moved away from price so fast, moved to the downside for one, away from that Sunday opening, and we've literally just about tapped above it, and we'll look at that at the lower time frames. The fact we've done that is really showing of how bearish we actually are. So that's something to take into account. But nonetheless, again, I'm happy for us to rally slightly into this range. But generally speaking, I'm now looking for sell side liquidity to be traded to below here. And then, like I said, this is a daily fair value gap, which would be nice to see get filled. So pretty simple in terms of my expectations. We don't have any more high impact news for the rest of the week, so it might be quite high resistance getting down there. But generally speaking, you can see our price is leaving this range, especially when you see, look at this, you see this fair value gap. You see our price has traded through it, wicked through it, and moved away from it. This price range is rebalanced. Price shouldn't need to come back up there now, especially since we're clearly in a sell program and looking for those sell side PDRAs. So there's a strong bias as to me wanting to see a continuation to the downside. It's just it might have a funny way of getting there, considering there's not much high impact news to drive it there. But just be wary off that 25% level, especially with the fair value gap and this bearish order block marked out here. So like I said, price may want to wick into that before trading on lower, and then I'm looking for that Wednesday low. So yeah, let's get some dividers marked out, because I do want to show you that Sunday opening price, which I do find it fascinating that, like I said, we haven't even traded on the bullish side of it, which just lends itself to showing how bearish price might actually be. So we have Monday here, we have Sunday over here, and then that Sunday opening price is all the way up here. Now remember, we had this massive gap and price just tapped into it here, and since then price has been moving lower. So if we are bearish, we are extremely bearish, because it's failed to even get above that Sunday opening. It's obviously in a rush to get somewhere. So that's just something to take into account, something to study. And then in terms of targeting, again, we have a whole daily fair value gap down here. And what you can do, in fact, let's take a look. If we look for a Sunday where this fair value gap is, so there's a Sunday right here. If we go to that opening of that Sunday, there is a concept which ICT taught a long time ago, how price gyrates between Sunday opening prices. It will use it as targeting. So here's a Sunday opening from all the way back in November, from the 8th of November, the beginning of November. So we might find that price manages to reach all the way down here. Now, I'm not saying it's necessarily going to get there this week, but it's just interesting to look at. Let's see if there's another Sunday we can look at, because again, it will use it as resistance or support or resistance. This is something I will have to spend more time on sometime. I always say this, but generally speaking, we can use it to our advantage. Here again, if we drag that through, and you can see our price dived below that. So yeah, just something for you guys to go study in your own time. But generally speaking, let's now head on to GBP USD. So you can see how GBP rallied. If you watched yesterday's video, you'll remember me stating I wanted to see price trade lower, but if it was to take out this high, that it would run, and it would run fast. And you can see we took out that high and it ran fast. Do join the Discord, because I did explain why this is and how, you know, you're able to not necessarily predict but anticipate such behavior. And obviously now I'm expecting price to be able to continue with this. Another thing which I'm going to talk about is divergence, which is happening here, but we can talk about that after. Let me just clear my charts. We'll go up to the daily and see where we could, weekly even, and we can see where we could be drawing to. So we have this weekly high right here. That will be significant for price to trade into. So we can mark that out as buy side liquidity alongside with a entire fair value gap above there. So that's nice. And then we also got on the daily a fair value gap up here as well. So it'll be nice to see if price can manage to reach up into this premium. Now, I'm not, again, it doesn't have to happen this week, but we have a directional bias, which is all we need. This is a bearish order block. We've completely disregarded it. Why? Because we traded through it. So it's no longer bullish order block. It should act as a bearish order block, so to speak. And then we're looking at that mean threshold and the 25% level to provide support. More so the 25% level. I wouldn't like to see price retrace very deeply tomorrow. I wanted to see price continue to rally into our buy side and start trying to get up into that target. So I'm paying attention to this level as we drop down to the lower time frames. So let's go to the 4 hour. And you can see price just wandering on. So we have a nice gap up here just above that buy side pool. So that would be nice to fill. If price trades through that, then and only then would I expect this. However, this could easily be the target for the week, and then we might just find ourselves retracing, which is completely fine. Let's go to the 1 hour, take a closer look, and you'll see our price was rallying. And like I said, as we enter tomorrow, I'm expecting more rallying, and that 25% level just happens to line up with this bullish order block on the 1 hour. So I'd like to think that this can hold its own, as in it can hold this bullish order block can continue to provide support for price. Any lower than that 50% level and I'll be very suspicious, but I'm happy for price to wick down there if it needs to. It might not even do so, but we still have the whole Asia range to trade, so we need to allow for that. But generally speaking, especially this consolidation, price may want to tap into that, and then we, you know, expand and reach into our fair value gap in the premium. So yeah, that's pretty much everything on pound, and that also lines up as well with this up close candle on the south side of the curve. So any up close candles on the south side should be used as down close candles as we're trading higher. So what do I mean by that? This bearish order block on the south side should now be acting as a bullish order block on the buy side. That's just basic ICT concepts really. So again, if we chase into that, I'd expect bullishness to be found, support to be found within it to help push price higher into the premium. Should we look at divergence now? We'll look at divergence at the end just so that we can get euro out the way. And similarly, you can see how euro didn't move as much as pound, but nonetheless is still trying to push up into its premiums. So let's get rid of everything here. We'll start on the weekly, and the same thing. We have a weekly high right here, which is significant because price targets daily and weekly highs. Weekly highs are more significant. Daily highs are better when we're trading, like, you know, on the 1 hour and such. Like, these are easy targets for price. And then we have a fair value gap right here to trade into. Let's go to the daily, and you'll see again, similarly to pound and even dollar, things are starting to line up a little bit more now. We have a nice premium PD array up here to reach for. So let's get that marked out like so. And then again, we're trading through that. We're currently trading through this bearish order block. Sorry, so we haven't traded through it like we have on pound, but we can split it into quarters the same way. So what do I mean by that? So let's just use our Fibonacci, look at the 25% level, and the 50% level, and generally speaking price shouldn't need to drop any lower than that. If it does, you know, a whole different story, and I'm probably on the wrong side of the market again, which would be weird. But my point is relative equal highs for buy side liquidity, and then this is an implied, is it an implied fair value gap? It's an implied fair value gap over here. Now I don't want to talk, I've spoke about these before, they are a bit weird. I think if we drop to the low time frame we might be able to identify one within it. No, there's nothing there. That doesn't really help us, does it? So let's get rid of that. But generally speaking, again, I'm happy for price to tap down into this 25% level of this range, because this is all a consolidation, so we might want to create a low down there, and then I'd want to find continued support for us to push into buy side liquidity above here and potentially these highs. But like I said, we're moving into Thursday. We don't have any more high impact news this week, and we've got non-farm payroll, so it's very possible we might rally into this buy side, but the rest of it might leave for next week, which is also completely fine. But yeah, pretty basic. Let's go to the 1 hour, and we can see we're just consolidating again. Look at this fair value gap, we've filled it and left it. I like to see this because this is like indicative, and yeah, it's indicative of price wanting to go higher. It's like, okay, repriced, let's move higher. It shouldn't need, this should now act as like a bullish fair value gap basically. So that's a level of support again. If price manages to get down there, it might not even make it. But yeah, that's pretty much everything. I am going to show you what I was talking about when I mentioned divergence. So I'm going to keep it on the 15-minute. Let's add GBP and add dollar, and let's take a look. So where are we? Okay, there isn't what I was looking for isn't there, so to speak, as much, but you can see anyway. Euro's been making higher highs. Pound struggled a little bit more with making those high highs, as you can see, but it still managed to make some. And then dollar obviously was just all over the place, dropping lower. But when it comes to higher highs and lower lows, it'll be this section more specifically I'm looking at. So if you look at GBP here and we straighten it, you see how he taps down into these lows, whereas on Euro we didn't. I'll just show you. Euro didn't come anywhere near these relative equal lows. Pound, we literally touched and ran those lows, and then dollar, those same highs didn't get tapped. So that would have been a level of divergence where GBP was hinting, saying, look, we're weak, whereas Euro was saying we want to go higher, and dollar was saying we want to go lower. So if anything, we might start to see more strength in Euro, but you can see how GBP had to catch up, and that's why we saw so much expansion today on GBP, because it was lagging behind over here. So back on Monday, on the 25th, GBP was in a deep discount when Euro wasn't, so it had to catch up, and that's what we saw happen today with the run on price. But yeah, that's pretty much everything. I'm just expecting price to continue rallying. There's no reason to expect it to stop, especially when you got relative equal highs like this residing up here, and then on dollar we have these lows below here. So I'm happy to see price keep rallying. And then obviously once we get to non-farm payroll next week, we'll have to take another fresh look. But that's going to be everything, guys. Thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to drop a like, drop a comment, smash subscribe, join the mailing list, and join the Discord and send a message. I've said this in yesterday's video, but I'm going to say in every video, make sure to send a message into the general chat. Thanks so much for watching, and yeah, peace.